I see we've already got a very distinguished question asker at the microphone now.
I just want to agree with Dalia that media has a responsibility. I'll share a brief story with you. In 2009, American Muslim Voice held a beautiful vigil, which Dalia was a part of that, From Fear to Friendship for 9/11 victims and their families and first responders. We got wonderful coverage. Washington Post came. They put the story. There were about 24 photographs, about half from New York, from Obama's ceremony, and then 4 of them from our ceremony. But they did not write, it was held by American Muslim Voice. They said From Fear to Friendship. So you could see that if they had put From American Muslim Voice, the people who read that, they would not ask us, what are the Muslims doing? They would just see that Muslims are trying to do something. We are not to blame for 9/11. We don't know who is, but we were trying to honor the people who lost their loved ones, and they are doing peace building. To me, we need to just do that. So by not doing that, so I called them in the morning. I said, can you please tell me why you decided to omit our name? They said, oh no, we wrote something about you. I said, yes, you wrote our title, From Fear to Friendship. You did not write Organized by American Muslim Voice. I said, next time, please don't cover our event if that's what you want to do. So yes, we have to have courage to call media. And one time again, Channel 5 did something. They talked to me 20 minutes, and then they picked and chose whatever they wanted to do. They didn't make it negative, but they did not portray what interview I had with them. So I called them and I said, Hank, I trusted you. In the future, please, if you're going to change it or tell me my editor said this and he chose this, I'm not going to talk to you. I don't need coverage. If I'm going to get coverage, it has to be the true coverage for the Muslim community.
Beautifully put. If I can just say something as somebody in the news who's, you're writing the first draft of history, as the saying goes, and I make mistakes all the time. It's a learning opportunity. We get a lot of angry emails. We get a lot. People have told me I'm mispronouncing my own name. But quite seriously, when someone corrects me, and they're correct, whether or not they're gracious about it or not, it sticks in my mind. And the next time that story comes up, hopefully, almost assuredly, I'm not going to make that same mistake again. And that's something to consider. Sometimes it can be frustrating. You think, this news organization is completely unprincipled and they don't care. But oftentimes it's an individual who made the mistake, or 2 individuals. And if you let them know about it, you improve the future of the news coverage from that organization. Next question.
So I just wanted to make a brief comment. So we're hoping to restrict everything to questions. So please do that. And I just want to say also that it's nice that we have, often I've seen at events, media personalities, or not personalities, but in general, the media is just kind of blacklisted as being anti-Muslim and whatnot. So it's nice that we have a media personality to represent that point of view today. So thank you for that.
Assalamu alaikum. Imam Suhaib, welcome back. I'd like to see if you could maybe elaborate, anyone on the panel, on the last set of comments about the responsibility of everyone in the community to respond to media portrayals of Muslims, and talk about what might be considered a proper response, whether it should be fire the person immediately, or if there's a better response to that. Maybe we give some insight on what you have found works best. Thank you.
Does anybody have a personal experience they want to share?
I don't have an answer to that particular angle, but I will say that as we should call in and correct news coverage that is bad or negative, we should do an even better job of calling in and saying thank you to coverage that is awesome, because the same rules apply. If they hear someone say, you did a really good job on that piece, you treated all those religions with sensitivity and you used the right words, that carries weight too. And it's like carrot and stick thing. People would, I think, prefer to be commended for what they're doing than scolded for what they're not. But at the same time, someone should answer that question too, but it does go both ways.
I want to just I think this mic is working, right?
Oh, well, no.
Nope, not so much. Okay. I just want to add that there are organizations within our community, I'm talking about the Muslim American community, that train community members on how to respond the right way to media. I would call out ING, I'd call out CARE and others. And they're doing incredibly important work because they, I remember getting these trainings in my local mosque of like how to write a concise letter to the editor that would have the highest chances of being published, how to call an editor and in a polite but firm way express your opinion so that you're taken seriously rather than dismissed as a fanatic. But the other thing I really want to emphasize is this idea of calling when it's positive as well. I think this is hugely important. I personally know reporters, and specifically now on the issue of Egypt, which is something I'm following very closely, where people who are simply reporting the facts on the ground in country are so attacked, in fact, there are PR firms that are just being paid to attack any sort of quote negative coverage, that if you don't see an article and go out of your way to write a thank you or a positive email to that writer, they're only getting it from one side. And trust me, the guy who's mad about that article is very motivated to find the right email to write that angry, that angry complaint. That if we read something that we think was fair and accurate, for us to be just as motivated in thanking that reporter and that outlet.
And sorry, I think a great example of that is the Coca-Cola commercial during the Super Bowl. It was hijacked, but if you were to go look at the comments, you won't see a lot of quote unquote like-minded people, and I'm going to say us, really responding to those really negative comments. So I think we tend to look for the fight and not look for the victory, and that's a problem, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I'd like to thank you all to being here. I think it's a great session. So I have a very simple question. In American history, any time when we talk about religion, it's always reactive. But there's so many times in history that the religion has been in the forefront, like somebody said, civil rights, abolitionist movement, to prohibit alcohol. Why not we take an issue of today, income inequality, everybody talks about it. Let's talk as a religion. What is the religious moral stand of the rich being richer and the poor become poor? I think it's a wonderful issue that I think joins all religious community together about talking about it, instead of letting the politician take this issue on to say, oh, what's right and what's wrong, but the media should come and the religious community say, this is what a moral stand of this issue should be. I think it's a great way of working together. I would like to hear a response from you.
I really think that's exactly right. I just a couple of weeks ago, I was asked to come speak at a labor justice organization in Madison, Wisconsin, which is a huge sort of hub for organized labor. And I was asked to be the keynote speaker to speak about labor justice in Islam, which, is a topic you don't hear about a lot. But so I had to do all this research to find out where, what Islam says about labor and labor justice and the rights of workers. And I was floored. I was amazed by all that was there. So this idea that religion can be and must be a voice for moral leadership is completely, it's right on point. And I think that this is the best way, in fact, for collaboration to interfaith collaboration to come about, is for us together as a human family to come together around a problem being the enemy rather than each other. And so we're competing against this problem. We're on one team, the problem is on the other, and we're trying to solve it together, all coming from our faith, inspired by the moral teachings of our faith community.
I want to, is this working?
Here, speak up. Let's
Okay.
see.
I want to speak a little bit about that from my experience at Santa Clara doing interfaith work and with service. One of the things we noted to do, because Santa Clara is driven by many social justice issues and organizations, is we did promote the faith aspect of it, but it was always kind of it was kind of an afterthought in that we would do a bunch of service together, everyone would be feeling really great about it, and then we'd reflect, well, what motivates me to do this? What in my religion calls me to do this? And the reflections that I hear were amazing, and people often would take time and say, yeah, in either my scripture, my tradition, this is what I'm taught, and I was able to live that out today, and we have all of these similarities. I remember for one reflection I planned, I couldn't pick which quotes I wanted from each religion because there were so many great ones, and that just goes to show that for all of these different issues, we can find so much from within that we can share with one another, and that really does help to create a sense of community, brotherhood, sisterhood.